going into our first match between, ignore the names at the top, those are incorrect. I will change those in a second. This is between the Bards and Kaktuskrumpelz 2000. I'm disorganized today. Let me go fix those names. I swear to God, if these teams start fighting while I'm fixing these names. Sure, this is exciting television. Everything's going bad today. Yeah, let me just mess with the camera too. Alright, so we don't really have time to do loadouts, but it looks like the teams have already engaged near center map. Trucker's Delight has been knocked downwards out of the fight. It is a galleon. It looks like we have a fish galleon for the red team, for the Bards, and for Kaktuskrumpelz, squid goldfish with a Finks for sure piloting the killing feature there. I do see watches coming from the galleon and the fish as well, so we do have at least a few degenerates playing in this match, utilizing that OP line gun. And actually, since these teams are just kind of fumbling about, we'll do loadouts real quick. Goose losing their whole armor. It is a goldfish piloted by Nano Duckling. Hwacha on the front, left side flare gun, right side Gatling. Their ally is the Trucker's Delight galleon, piloted by Princess Tutu. Two Hwachas on the left, Gatling. Two Hwachas on the right, rear harpoon gun. Everything about this galleon is completely disgusting. For their opponents, Kaktuskrumpelz 2000, we have the killing feature, which is apparently being ground to death against this building. So much for looking at their loadout. But while red team puts that first point on the board, we can take a look at the Dragon's Rage. Their ally for blue team, piloted by Zedian, is a heavy carronade goldfish. Good man, with flamers on both sides, and it looks like he's going to be grinding this galleon into the ground. This is Parrots and Rumble is a map. It's very kind of a close quarters map. There's a lot of really tight quarters like this. You can see there's not much room to maneuver around. This is both a curse and a blessing for the goldfish. It's beneficial because once you get the balloon lock on someone, it's very difficult for them to escape. You see the galleon's kind of stuck against this little bridge here. But at the same time, as a blenderfish, you need to follow your target down as you're knocking out their balloon, forcing down their altitude. And because the goldfish is such a long ship, it's got kind of an awkward hitbox. That can be difficult to do. And you can see that here with Dragon's Rage having a seemingly dominating engagement on the galleon, but just unable to secure a kill. They weren't able to find the right angle to get a solid connection with the front of their ship. And that's just for that reason. It can be very difficult to maneuver at these low ends of the map. Dragon's Rage being forced up by the Trucker's Delight's Gatling. And at the same team, killing feature is going to town on the Goose. Looks like they have a mine launcher on the front of that squid, which is an interesting choice. I actually heard the writers talking about that over the weekend, testing out, what did they have on the side? Mine launcher mortar, I want to say. But let's properly address this loadout. Looks like mine launcher on the front, Banshee on the left side, and a rear flare gun piloted by Finks. Goose is taking a lot of damage. He's trying to utilize that moonshine to get out of here, but a mine hit, taking down their whole armor. If they touch anything, and that Banshee rocket counts, they're going to go down. Killing feature able to tie up the score for the Kaktuskrumpelz 2000. And now this galleon is in a pretty good spot. Or, so, excuse me, the opposite of what I just said. He's in a pretty bad spot. And especially with this now piloting back into the bridge, this is a really bad place to be. And with a few mines, they could be completely locked into this position. But not the best mines, one of them going into the ship, one of them going over, but I feel like this is probably going to be a confirmed kill for the blue team, regardless. And yeah, with the whole armor going down, Banshee's coming up from the killing feature, Dragon's Rage having a little bit of difficulty maneuvering around down here. But the Squid might be able to finish this off by themselves. As soon as the whole armor goes down on this galleon, it certainly will perish. And Flamethrower finishing them off. With now a 1-point lead for the Kaktuskrumpelz 2000. So let me take a closer look at these teams. Yeah, Riders and some altruistic Rhapsody members filling out that second blue ship. And I believe the Galleon was a Team Predators joint. We can take a closer look when they respawn, but it appears to not be a pure Bards team. Although they are listed as Bards in the sign-up, or the bracket page. I'm gonna take a look here. Okay, yeah, we got 2 Predators here and 2 Sandstorm Republic players. So 1 Bards ship, 1 miscellaneous. With such an explosive start to the start of this match, I do wonder if we're going to see a little more conservative action from the 2 teams now. Typically, Periton matches go one of 2 ways. The first way is where all the teams charge into the center of the map, which is what we saw, and it appears what's going to happen again. But it is also possible to play a much slower, stealthier game, utilizing cloud cover, utilizing these corridors that will block off a lot of angles of ambush. You can kind of skulk around the map until you get a glimpse of the opponent and then surprise them out of nowhere. Dragon's Rage taking the forward position here. I think this is a bad call considering how heavily damaged Dragon's Rage already is. So little health. As soon as it go down, the Watch is able to finish them off. Killing feature a little out of position. A tactical flub from blue team. Thankfully, however, the killing feature is in a spot where he probably will be able to retreat. He is the fastest ship in this game. As long as he doesn't lose his engines to the next Watch barrage, he should be fine. Especially on a tight map like this, it'll be very difficult to follow them. Hull armor break actually on the killing feature. Watcha and I think a little bit of a bump. I think the blue team losing a lot more permahull than they really want to. And actually the Goose is managing to catch up here. Losing those engines to the Watcha was a bad look. But we do have Dragon's Rage now. Spawning in from a side alley, going for a ram, knocking the Goose back, saving his ally. Oh, Trucker's Delight is stuck. He's made a routing error on his way to his ally. And his ally paid the price. Finished off by the carronade of the Dragon's Rage. This is bringing a close range galleon is a pretty huge liability. I mean, I've been talking on and on about how this map can be difficult to navigate. Oh, they're bumping against. Oh no. They actually may lose the galleon here too. Although I believe we have already their ally has respawned somewhere. I can't find them, but I believe the red goldfish is nearby. This map, it can be very dangerous to try to navigate quickly in a galleon, and a close-range galleon requiring you to get into just the right angle to have arcs on those watches and to maneuver into close range. It's a dangerous choice. And now you see them locked down, a mine hit, the balloon's gone to the heavy carronade. They're going to land on this bridge. They're going to start taking impact damage. This is a real bad spot. Surprisingly, only 1 person on the whole armor. It's about to break. I'm almost surprised that Chrissy hasn't come up to help. I mean, they are doing an okay job fighting on the way down. You see them eking out a Watch, a volley. Dr. Goose finally coming in. Maybe he's a little indecisive, not sure if his ally is going to survive or not. The Bards definitely do not want to meat grind here. You know, throwing good money after the bad. If they lose this galleon here, the Dr. Goose is going to be stuck in a similarly bad situation. But it looks like, going for a ram. Oh god, they took their time, but they made it worthwhile, obliterating that carronade goldfish. Holy moly! Oh man. Oh, killing feature just drifting away in disbelief. He doesn't want it to be true, but he knows it is. His ally is gone. And he needs to be gone as well. He needs to get out of here. He does not want to be caught by the watch of the Duck Goose. Oh, what is he doing? Why is he sitting here? Oh no. Although Duck Goose is not... Looks like Duck Goose is turning to face the Dragon's Rage. They're not too afraid of the killing feature. I don't know what the killing feature finally turning to engage, but with extremely slow reactions from the blue squid. And now this is a pretty bad spot for the Dragon's Rage. In a 1v1 situation, Carrowfish should have an overall advantage over the Hwacha, but Trucker's Delight managing to output damage on both sides. Good utilization of the 4 heavy weapons on the lower deck. Dragon's Rage has descended, trying to dodge those Hwachas. This is a little bit of an awkward spot for the Duck Goose to re-engage. But he is able to duck down, knock out the Dragon's Rage's balloon, and we might be able to smash him into the ground. Hwacha going to come out. Whole armor's down, taking 50% damage, 60% damage. That was a powerful Hwacha barrage, and going for a ram, not a good angle, bouncing off. But the Trucker's Delight might be able to finish them off, pick up that kill. Yeah, and the Hwacha does in fact finish off that goldfish. Squid just trying to make something happen, but the mine launcher, while powerful, it can be difficult to put out enough DPS to finish a ship, particularly when you're using only one. You know, the more common mine-based builds that we see, not in these competitive matches, because people don't really use the mine launcher in competitive, but in pub lobbies, you often see the double mine launcher or triple mine launcher junker. Because the more mines you have, the more difficult they are to dodge, and the damage kind of ramps up almost exponentially as you kind of build a cage around them, and all they need to do is trigger one, and suddenly they die. But with only one mine launcher on this squid, they're not going to be able to use it to its full effectiveness, and it's certainly going to rely much more heavily on the individual gunner skill, because when you only have one, every single mine is extremely important. It's important because if you don't land all those mine hits, you're not going to break hull armor, you're not going to be able to influence your target's movement in the way you want with the knockback force of the mine explosion. That is one of its most important properties. Squid is backing out, sitting at about 30% permahull. He's got to be extremely careful here. The squid not having very much hull armor. Its health is one of its biggest assets, and losing that much of it at the end of the last fight means they will go down very quickly to the infinite Hwachas on the red team. Man, we finally see Kaktuskrumpelz hanging back for a bit. The last 2 fights didn't really go the way they wanted, so they're gonna potentially evaluate a new strategy, or perhaps just want a moment's reprieve before being thrown back into the ring, because they need to be able to team wipe the enemy team without losing one of their ships, and that's going to be extremely difficult to do. With the enemy team being on match point. Killing feature staying low. It looks like he realizes that he's going to be a liability for the team, but at some point he's going to have to start contributing firepower, because the Dragon's Rage is not going to be able to hold off the both red ships by themselves. Already losing hull armor. They're hydroing out. And Killing Feature's down here waiting for the Duck Duck Goose. But with this close engage, the mines are not going to be particularly useful at this close range. I'm just checking out the ammos here. Looks like Lesmok Incendiary Lock for the mine launcher gunner. Oh no, oh, Gatling from the galleon. Hwacha coming out, taking in a bit of permahull, but managing to the sneak, oh no, sneak away, but then they bump the terrain, and this Hwacha is going to finish them off. A 5-3 victory for the Bards. You know, it seemed like a fairly even match at the start, but I feel like some... Oh, well, okay, well, the Squid pilot left. Okay, well, everything I was just about to say is totally invalid. But at some point that match took a turn, and I suppose it's when their captain disconnected out. Going into the second game of this 2-game set between the Bards and Kaktuskrumpelz 2000. This is going to be on Northern Fjords, a much more open map than what we just saw. But let's see how the teams are going to approach that. First, looking at the loadouts. For the Bards, we have a Murder of Ducks, piloted by Nano Duckling. It is a Squid, light carronade on the front, Banshee on the side, Gatling on the rear. A little bit of a hybrid disable DPS Squid. Their ally is the Bobo Bobobula, piloted by Princess Tutu. It is a Merc Mobula, Hades Dart in the lower decks, Gat Banshee on the far wings. Their opponents, the Kaktuskrumpelz 2000. We have the November's Doom, Junker, piloted by Epsilon Eagle. Artemis, Hades Artemis, Junker. Gat Mortar on the right side, very standard. Their ally, who's moved forward and is already engaging, is a Hwacha Fish, piloted by Zevion. Light Carronade on the left side, Gatling on the right. Murder of Ducks is charged directly into blue spawn. Moving to kind of disrupt the blue team's positioning. Not doing any real damage, but Dragon's Rage has kind of been... Blue team's kind of been forced out of their own spawn, and now the Bobobula is going to be trying to engage something here. Taking a Hwacha Barrage for his trouble, going to be ducking down, trying to dodge the second half of that. He took a lot of damage from that. This is a rough spot to be in for a Mobula. Now the November's Doom is lending in that long-range support fire. Targeting the Mobula. Murder of Ducks coming in, just strafing Dragon's Rage a bit, distracting them while the Bobobula gets their gun arcs, and now moving forward to engage in November's Doom. The light carronade on the Murder of Ducks is probably going to be pretty effective against the large balloons of the November's Doom and the Dragon's Rage. So perhaps not a poor choice of gun for the Red Squid. He has disabled the November's Doom November's Doom's balloon, so they are going to be knocked downwards out of this fight for a little bit. Bobobula is taking a lot of damage. He's barely holding on at this point. But Red Team does have a few moments of an advantageous fight while the November's Doom tries desperately to equalize the verticality. And Dragon's Rage at the same time, this is very smart. He's dropping down, trying to get closer to his ally, speeding up the rate at which they can rejoin the fight. Now with Gatling engaging the Bobobula. That, I'm not sure what ammo type are they using for that. I think that might have been Lesmok Gatling. Not particularly effective, but now Grease coming out. This is going to be an armor break for the Bobobula, and one mortar shot, all that's necessary to finish them off. Murder of Ducks sitting here in center map, engaging the Dragon's Rage. It looks like he does have the better end of the fight with the Dragon's Rage, knocking out their balloon, keeping them low, but with the November's Doom rejoining them, they're going to be forced back. And I imagine we're probably going to see a never mind. Babobula actually taking a farther spawn. Looks like they don't necessarily want to rejoin this fight immediately. They want to give their ally, the Murder of Ducks, time to fully disengage. Probably so they can make better use of the Merc arts on the Mobula. Because the longer lead time they have prior to a full-on engagement, the longer they can kind of pick away with these extremely long-range weapons. And I'm actually sort of surprised that bringing the Merc Mobula, that Red Team is playing this game so aggressively. Because they do have the extreme range advantage. Like, the Dragon's Rage has no long-range... Dragon's Rage or the Murder of Ducks, they have no long-range weaponry. And the Merc definitely outranges the Hades on the November's Doom. Mobula pretty much considered, like, the counter to the Junker at this point, so... But with the Squid engaging so aggressively, moving so far forward here, I mean, it's clear what his strategy is. He wants to try to be very disruptive at close range, while the Babobula lends that powerful long-range support fire, but so far it hasn't been working out that well. It's just leading to Red Team getting separated, the Murder of Ducks gets forced out, and then the Babobula gets double teamed. And this Gap Mortar from the November's Doom is way more DPS than any of these other ships are going to be able to put out at close range. So, like, with this strategy they're pursuing, it's just... It's leading to Nano Duckling getting separated from his ally. And now it may not just be his ally going down, with the Murder of Ducks losing all its engines, down to about 40% permahull. This might be one of those less common situations where the Squid is unable to get away. And that's a real bad look for Red, with potentially 3 points on the board for Kaktuskrumpelz. Yeah, armor going down, the balloon's down. Watch it coming out, armor break's gonna fish them off. Now, the one thing that's looking okay for Red is that the Dragon's Rage, between those last two fights, they are pretty heavily damaged. So, during the next engagement, if Red manages to focus down the blue goldfish, they will be able to get that kill very quickly, leaving potentially the November's Doom on their own. So if they play this right, they could roll this, the Red Team could roll this into 2 fairly easy kills. I'm not sure about this positioning here. Squid's backing out. This means the mountain's going to prevent the Babobula from lending any support here. Babobula's going to take a long time to reposition, and if the Squid gets cornered, that's going to be extremely bad for the Bards. So Murder of Ducks is going to try to duck under here. November's Doom has he's chosen to split off and engage the Mobula himself. He's realizing that this Gap Mortar has so far been extremely effective against the Red Mobula. He does have the speed advantage, so he's able to back away. And now the Murder of Ducks has re-engaged, but he's going to take a watch volley here. So he's not going to be re-engaged for very long, losing his balloon, losing most of his components. And now with the next Watcher Barrage going into Babobula, this might be all she wrote for the Red Mobula, says Dr. Seuss. Gatling coming out, armor break coming out, mortar. A little slow in the mortar, but not much needed to finish them off. And boy, 4 points on the board. Nothing's going right for Red. This team composition just not working out well for them. Murder of Ducks going to try to shoot vent out. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. They might be able to sneak around this mountain. But no, not if they lose their engines. We're just not seeing any sort of synergy between the two builds of the red. Maybe something a little more experimental. I don't necessarily begrudge them for bringing it, but it just, the experiment here was was not a success. Now Murder of Ducks, going to go in the most painful way possible. Very strong 5-0 victory for the Kaktuskrumpelz. And since these are only 2-game sets, that means this will end in a one game victory for each team. And we will be moving on to our next round robin match between the Bards and Clan.